Okie dokie. All right, let's test this, make sure it's working. Come on. Okay, it is working. Good, good, good. All right. Anybody there? I think that one viewer is probably myself. Two views, both of them were me. Still shows one concurrent viewer. Is there somebody there lurking? Shoot me a little message in the chat if you're there. I thought that viewer was me, but maybe there's actually somebody here. I don't like that you can't see who's actually viewing. Hello, somebody just joined, it looks like. Who dat? Maybe. Maybe not. Suppose I could just get some work done while I wait for some people to join. Hello. Who just joined us? I can tell that someone joined. I cannot see who joined. Mom, is that you? Whoever it is does not want to reveal themselves. That's okay. It's okay. We're just waiting a few minutes to let some people join. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. A lot of stuff. All right. They left. Sad. Didn't even introduce themselves. Oh, hello. Thanks, Ryan. I do really enjoy this shirt. I have a problem with impulse buying shirts I see while scrolling Facebook. And, you know, sometimes you see a shirt and you're just like, well, I have to buy that. You don't even look at the price, you just click buy. What have you been doing with AI influence? Do you use AI at all for your influence WP? Are you vibe coding any of that? I know you started it before vibe coding was a thing, so my guess is it's mostly, you know, just you doing your thing. All right, well, we got a couple people in here, and I won't make you guys wait. You guys don't get to get punished for being here on time by sitting here and waiting for more people to join. The people who join late, they're going to get punished by missing some content. So we'll go ahead and get started. Oh, you know, I wondered, I saw your post about, you know, people who build plugins have a better respect for, you know, other people who build plugins. And you didn't outright say in that post that you had built a plugin, but I had a feeling that's why you posted that. That you must have built something or started building something. So that's fun. Hey, Tonic. All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about some of this crazy stuff. So I got a list of things that I've been working on. I have not uploaded in a while, and I feel stupid for not uploading because I've been doing so much stuff. So you'd think, well, you know, he must have so much stuff he could talk about in a YouTube video. But for some reason, I just didn't know, like, if any one thing I was doing was really worthy of trying to do a whole YouTube video about it. And so I just never pulled the trigger on recording any videos about anything that I've been doing. And so I figured, why not talk about all of it in one video? Then hopefully at least the viewers will find at least one of the things I'm working on may be interesting. So that's what we're doing. We're going to talk about, I don't know, 5 or 6 different things that I've been working on. A couple of them are going to be WordPress related. Most of them are not WordPress related. Most of my content has been about WordPress. Specifically, a lot of it has been about Etch. Today is not going to be about Etch at all, and it's going to be a little bit about WordPress, but it's all about the various AI tools I've been using and the things that I've been doing with them. So I figured we'll start with something small. Get my OBS figured out here. That's not what I wanted. Get back over here. Okay, well, anybody here use OBS? No, that is not. All right, bro, you're just gonna live right there. All right. we're going to take a look at, some of you may remember my YouTube thumbnail back in the day was the same. It was the same for every single video, right? The reason for that is I'm not a graphic designer, and I would rather work in a factory 12 hours a day than have to create like one YouTube thumbnail a week. Like, I don't enjoy doing it. The thought of doing it brings me anxiety. And so I just putting together this one template was like that. It took everything out of me. And so you can tell that at what point something changed. And obviously all these thumbnails are generated using AI now. And you can tell, like you can tell pretty much these days when a thumbnail was created by AI. I can especially tell because I know a lot of these pictures don't look like me. Like this guy right here, the one on the right, that's not me. Even this latest one, that's that. You guys might not notice because you don't know me personally, but I can tell. I can look at that and I go, that's not me. But also, I don't care because at least I didn't have to sit here and try to create this thumbnail. And how did I create this thumbnail? Well, I used AI Studio, Google's AI Studio, and I use I have a API key, so I can get their like pro services like Nano Banana 2. So that's the model that I'm using now. Most of those thumbnails you saw were created with Nano Banana 1, I believe, and I think 2 is fairly new. So this one I created with 2, and this one was kind of an interesting process that I'll kind of let you look at my conversation here. So I basically just uploaded a bunch of pictures of myself that I've taken over the months. And then I said, hey, I'm going to do a live stream. I'm going to talk about various things I've been doing with AI, Nano Banana, OpenClaw, Astro, blah, blah. I listed all the things I'm using. And I said, I need a 16:9 YouTube thumbnail. And this is what it came up with at first, which was like, all right, cool. I mean, it's got everything, it's got everything I need in there. But some of you looking at that thumbnail may notice that most of those logo / icons are just not correct. They're just made up. So back in the day, that would have been a problem because when image generation, AI image generation first became a thing that we could do, it couldn't iterate on an image. If you tried to iterate, if you tried to say, hey, I like this, keep it exactly the same, just change this one thing, it couldn't do it. It would just regenerate as if it was a whole new prompt. And so the image would be like similar to the first one, but it would be different, and that was frustrating. Now AI can actually iterate on an image. So I went and found the real OpenClaw icon and said, hey, this is the actual OpenClaw icon. So then it gave me this. Great. And then I did the same thing for Sanity. I said, here's the Sanity logo. And then it was too big. So I said, shrink that down by about 15%. And it did. So still kind of annoying having to have this little bit of a back and forth, but still much better than trying to create this thumbnail myself. And I am personally just grateful that the AI can actually iterate on images now. And so I just went through one by one and found the real logos. And eventually I just left Nano Banana because I don't think they even have a logo. I went to their website and I didn't see an icon or anything like that. So like, whatever. I don't care. I'd already put more effort into this thumbnail than I wanted to updating these logos. But it did it, and then I can download it, and there's my thumbnail. So that's the first tool. That's the first AI tool. Nothing groundbreaking. I know a lot of you are doing stuff like this. A lot of people are using Nano Banana. Maybe you're not using AI Studio. AI Studio, this just seems like sort of a wrapper for the various Google AI models. And so you could come here to create thumbnails like I'm doing. You could also tell it to build you like a website landing page or, whatever. And you can come up here and choose. So these are all image generators. So I could go, video, I could do Gemini, and you can just see all the different models that they have, and you can just use whichever one you want. So if you're going to create a thumbnail, you probably want to make sure to come up here and choose images. And you can see some of these are, looks like Nano Banana is free, but if you want Pro, that's paid, and Nano Banana 2 is paid. So, you know, you could even get some free stuff done over here. You don't necessarily have to pay. So yeah, that's it. That's it for that particular tool. Let's move on to stuff that I've actually been building. We're gonna start with a WordPress related project called LearnKit. So LearnKit, this is a two-parter because I built a WordPress plugin using AI, and then I built this website using AI, which is semi-interesting because of what the website can do. It's not just a simple landing page. So the plugin came about because I was kicking around the idea, and I'm still kicking it around, of creating a course for Etch. And I'm familiar with the LMS solutions for WordPress. I worked as product manager for LearnDash premium add-ons for a little bit. And I was playing around with, I think, Lifter, trying to figure that out. And I was, you know, with LearnDash is a little bit expensive. It's, you know, a $200 plugin plus, you know, if you want like a membership type thing, then you could grab MemberDash for another $200 or whatever. Trying to integrate Lifter and Paid Memberships Pro was just confusing as all heck. I mean, there's so much overlap between the two plugins, and it was hard to tell, you know, where should I do this and where should I enable that. And I was like, man, I just need a very simple like course plugin, and I need the ability to sell those courses. I don't need any of this fancy stuff. And so I just made my own plugin. It's very simple. It's not going to have, you know, it's not going to do all the fancy stuff that LearnDash can do, right? There's no groups plugin for LearnKit. There's none of that. There's none of that fancy stuff. You can create courses, you can create lessons, you can add quizzes. It tracks your progress. You get a little certificate at the end. And that's just about it. I mean, it's very simple, and you can sell those courses with WooCommerce. It integrates with WooCommerce. So I did that. And that's not even, to me, that's not very exciting because I've built a lot of plugins with AI, and it's just the latest one in a long list of plugins. But this website, I built it with Lovable. As you can see, if I move my face, you can see down here, it still has the little badge. I built this one, and this is the only project you're going to see today that was built with Lovable. I may try to move it off of Lovable at some point. But what is interesting, in my opinion, about this website is that it actually has the e-commerce built in, so you can purchase the plugin from here. It also has licensing. I built licensing into this website, which took a little bit of a back and forth between me and the AI robot. I basically used up my whole month's worth of Lovable credits in a day to get this thing built. But I got it built, and it was, honestly, the licensing portion was probably, I would say it was easier than trying to set up easy digital downloads. I've done that twice for licensing, and that's a whole thing. I've never tried, what is it, Freemius? I've never tried licensing a plugin in Freemius, so I don't know what that's like. Can't compare it to that, but I have set up easy digital downloads twice, and it's just confusing. I mean, I got it done, so if I can do it, anyone can do it, but I didn't like it, and I felt that this was easier. It was literally just me telling the AI bot what I wanted and then testing it, and if something wasn't working, I'd tell the AI bot what wasn't working, and it would fix it, and eventually it would get to the point where I got this fully functional website where you can purchase and download this WordPress plugin, and there's a license built into it, and it will charge you every year until you cancel it, and then you'll also get updates. The updates come from, I don't remember where they come from. I think they just come from my GitHub. So you could probably just, I need to see if I made that GitHub private yet. But anyways, that's where updates come from. So I push an update to GitHub, and then if your license is active, you get that update. If it's not active, you won't get the update. So did all that with AI. Did it with excuse me, did it with Lovable. Now I've tried a bunch of these products before, and I can't sit there and tell you which one's the best. I've built stuff with Lovable. I built stuff with V0. That was the first one I ever played with. That's owned by Versal, so you've probably heard of Versal before. I've played around with Replit. Replit, I believe, is what came up with one more quick AI project is my website. Now, I built this website myself using Etch, but the design came from Replit. I went to Replit and I said, hey, I need like an intentionally ugly website design. I was like, just break every rule. I'm trying to make a terrible website. And this is what Replit came up with, which I was just, I was very happy with this. I was like, wow, you nailed it. I said, give me something ugly. And you said, say less, fam. And this is what I got. So this was fun. This is kind of fun to build. That website that was intentionally ugly. So yeah, I played around with Bolt a little bit as well, and they're all basically the same. I don't know why I chose Lovable to build this one. It just, I don't know. I think it's the one that I happened to have a pro plan with at the time, so that's the one I went with. But I think I could have easily done this with Replit as well. So yeah, this is, and sidebar, this I think is where, this is what I think WordPress should become. I think WordPress should become another one of these AI SaaS tools like Lovable, Replit, etc. But I think they need to hyper focus on, websites. All the pain points when people, a lot of people complain about WordPress, and then people like us who use WordPress, we're always like, oh, well, it's not that, it's not that bad. Once you learn how to use it, once you know what you're doing. One classic example is emails. That's something people are constantly complaining about with WordPress. They'll spin up a WordPress website, they'll have a contact form or something, and either when someone fills out the form, they either don't get the email or the email goes into their spam folder every time. And then we're like, well, yeah, simple solution. You just have to set up an SMTP service. And for some people, that's like, I just spoke Greek to them when I said that. So stuff like that, if WordPress could set up a SaaS product like this that just made it, that actually made it possible for DIYers to build websites, because I know they think WordPress is like a super user-friendly thing that non-tech savvy people can use. It's not. I'm sorry. If that made anybody's ears bleed, I'm sorry. It's not a user-friendly tool that DIYers and non-techie people can easily use to create an actual functioning website that converts. Okay, it isn't. It could be if it was an AI SaaS and if they focused on some of those pain points. Imagine you don't even have to think about SMTP. You just say to the AI chatbot, I need a contact form. Here's the information I want to collect. Here's the email address that I want it to send submissions to. Done. And it just does it, and it works, and they fill out the form and you get the emails. You don't have to worry about setting up a Brevo account or some other SMTP service and learn what DNS is and all that stuff. And there's other pain points I think that WordPress could solve, just hyper focusing an AI SaaS like this on building websites and making every pain point that anyone's ever complained about just as simple as a prompt, just telling the bot what you want. Because it's kind of almost there. Like this, building these websites has been easier than building a WordPress website, but it's still not quite like, it's not something that I think just any random non-techie person can hop on and do still. It's like so close to being there, and it's not there yet. And WordPress could be the first ones to actually really get there and do that, I think. What should I do next? Next project we're going to talk about. And if anybody's curious, actually I think I'll talk about this project next. I built this project for myself, and I'm going to log out so we can see the homepage here. So I was using a little small app you've probably never heard of called Notion. That's a joke. I know it's very popular. I was using Notion because everybody uses Notion, and I just wanted a place to take notes. Specifically, I wanted a place where my AI bot could take notes, where I could just tell it, hey, write this up and save it to my Notion for later, so I can go look at it later. And I was doing things like, the AI bot would scan my websites every week looking for vulnerabilities, and then it would create a report and save it to my Notion. So that was pretty neat, except Notion's free plan limits you to some number of something's blocks or something. And I hit that limit, and I hated Notion. I hated every single thing about it. I don't know what it's something you ever just you use an app and there's just something about the app that your brain does not mesh with, and you just don't understand it because everybody else loves it, but you're looking at it like, why do people love this? I can't figure out why people love it. That was me with Notion. I just didn't like the UI. My brain didn't like it. And so I definitely wasn't going to pay money for it. I would have kept using it for free, but I didn't like it enough to pay money for it. And so, you know, obviously I went and vibe coded something. I used OpenClaw. OpenClaw is like a local kind of wrapper for AI agents. So OpenClaw is not an agent. I'm technically using Claude Sonnet 4.6. I'm using Copilot. So I got a lot of layers here. And if I was going to do this all over again, I probably would do it differently. But I'm using Copilot. And when you use Copilot, you can choose whatever agent you want to use. And so like I said, I chose Claude 4.6 Sonnet. And then I'm using that Copilot / Claude as my agent inside my OpenClaw bot. Haven't tried Opus yet because Opus is more expensive, and so I'm still haven't figured out Copilot's pricing structure. I'm just expecting to get some big fat bill one of these days because I don't understand how it works, and I want to wait until I figure out what am I actually paying before I upgrade to Opus and start paying like 3 times more. But so I used it, and it even came up with the name Parchment. I didn't even come up with that. I just told the bot, I said, hey, I need like a note-taking app. I'm thinking similar to Notion, but a lot simpler. And I want it to be easy for, an AI bot to connect to via API or whatever. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the AI bot is one-shotting things. It like almost one-shots everything. It'll get like, it probably got 70 to 80% of this done after the first prompt. And then there was just little things I wanted to tweak and little bugs that needed to be fixed. That took a few back and forth prompts afterwards. But we got there. I had it come up with an API, and I had it create some docs that AI bots can scrape. So you can send your AI bot to look at this page, and then it will learn exactly how to use Parchment. So you can tell it, which I've done many times, hey, like I did for this live stream, because I thought people might have questions about some of these things that I wouldn't be able to answer because I didn't build any of them. The AI bot did. So I told it to describe the tech stack of these things that I'm working on and add a note to my Parchment. So right here, I had it create a collection called tech stacks. And then so let's look at Parchment. So the tech stack for this app that we're looking at right now, it's using React for the front end. We're hosting the thing on Hetzner. It's a Notion style document management app with collections, pages, and blocks, blah, blah, blah. It's using Supabase and a bunch of stuff I don't understand, and a little bit of information about the API and whatnot. But I just told it, I said, hey, describe the tech stack and go create a page and in my Parchment account, and it did it. So this is a really handy tool for myself. Anybody else can use it. It's free. If you just go to theparchment.app, you can try this thing out yourself. If you are also looking for just a simple little note-taking app, especially one that your AI bot can use. I did something. I took a picture of a recipe on my phone I uploaded it. I sent that to my AI bot and said, hey, turn this into a parchment, a recipe in my parchment. And it did it. It came here and it created the recipe. I mean, it's not exactly groundbreaking, but it's just fun little things that you can do with AI that maybe you're not doing yet. Yeah, so this was my first experience with Hetzner. I think that came as a recommendation from my friend Leland. I'd never hosted anything on Hetzner before, and I was able to like create a API key or something, or CLI maybe, and my AI bot was actually able to connect to my Hetzner account and basically just do all this for me. We were building it locally, and then I said, okay, go ahead and put it live, and it just did. It just did it for me. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is my website. I built this website like 100 years ago on WordPress, and it has remained almost exactly the same. I haven't changed the design hardly at all over the years. I built it using Themify. It's a page builder, WordPress page builder, and they have a theme that integrates a JavaScript library called Full Page. I almost said Front Page because I just watched Mark's video and he was talking about Front Page. It uses the JavaScript library called Full Page JS, which lets you do cool things like create slides, and it can even let you scroll horizontally, which I've been doing for years. I stopped doing that recently. It was a fun gimmick, I think, at the time, but I think people are over it now, so I just went back to vertical scrolling. But I rebuilt it recently using AI. OpenClaw built this one, and it is built using Astro and Sanity. So there is still a little bit of a CMS aspect to it. It's not much. It's very, very simple. If you need just a very simple CMS experience, I don't know. I don't want to tell you what to do, but I will just say that you don't need to use WordPress for every single website that you guys build. Okay. There are times where it makes sense, and there's times where maybe you just don't want to deal with it. You don't want to deal with having to update WordPress and update the plugins and all that. And SMTP, I mentioned that earlier. I don't know how but the form just works. I didn't set up an SMTP service. It's being hosted. Where is this website being hosted? I think it's also in my Hetzner account. Yeah, it's in the Hetzner account. And I don't know if this is just a service that Hetzner provides, because when you build a WordPress website, it will send emails. The biggest problem is that they just go into spam because it's a web server sending emails, and that gets flagged as spam. It's not a proper email server. But so I don't know what the deal is with this Hetzner website, but the emails go out perfectly. They don't go into my spam, and I didn't have to set up. You know what? Maybe I'm lying. Did I set up Brevo? Did I set up Brevo for that? Let me think. I lied. Everything I just said was untrue. Now that I'm thinking back, I did use Brevo for the emails. Okay. So yeah, that's one of the things where I wish I didn't have to do, where I think WordPress could step in and improve all of our lives with the AI stats, because I did have to set up Brevo. I forgot about that. Let's see, what else is it doing? Yeah, Hetzner, Nginx, nothing exciting. The biggest, most quote exciting part about this is it's using Astro and Sanity, which is kind of the new thing everyone's talking about these days. Sanity, it was built specifically, when you look at their website, it seems like it was built specifically to be used with AI. It's like they're expecting you to be using AI when you use Sanity, which is what I did. I'd never used Sanity before, so I didn't know how it works. It's different from WordPress. It's different from your typical CMS where it's like all together, right? You install WordPress somewhere like on your server, and that's it. Your back end stuff is there, your front end stuff is there, and then you have a database hosted likely on the same server. It'd be weird if you were hosting your database somewhere else. You could do that. But with Sanity, it's a little different. It's like all your content is in your Sanity account hosted by them, and then your website exists wherever you're hosting your website, and it's making like an API call to get your data, um, which is interesting. So what I did is I had the AI bot set up some sort of a like a headless kind of situation here, where it basically pre-renders everything and produces static pages. But anyways, so I felt like this website was a good candidate for this because it's so simple. I almost never change it. And I actually like what it did. So it kind of does this fade in and out thing with the slides, which I didn't tell it to do. It used to be more of a traditional, like you would see it slide up to the next slide. So it looked like an actual slideshow. And I think I like this better. I basically just sent it to my old website. I said, hey, I want you to recreate this website where it's like, scrolls through slides, whatever. And again, it like one-shotted like 80% of it. And it came up with this fade thing, which I like. I like it better than the traditional before. It would like slide from one slide to the next. And we had to fix a few other things in here, but we got it working, and it looks good on mobile. So, and it's just simple. I don't need WordPress for it, and I can go into my Sanity account if I want to change this text, or I could just tell my AI bot to do it. So I could say, hey, I want to change the free consultation text to say this, and it'll just go do it, and it'll push it for me and everything. It'll go live. What I need to do is set up some sort of staging, and that's one thing I haven't figured out yet. The best way to do some like staging type thing, probably the best way is to just have him have the AI bot clone this and just build it locally, and then I can test things out in the local version, and then when I'm happy with it, then I can tell the bot to push it live. So that's probably what I'll do. With WordPress, I would use like I would either do that, what I just said, basically, where I would have a copy of the website locally on my machine and push to live when I'm ready, or there are plugins you can use that like create a staging environment for you. So that's one thing I haven't figured out yet, but like I said, I pretty much already have a plan, I think, for it. And the tech stack, we already looked at that. Yep, Astro plus Sanity hosted. This is also hosted on Hetzner. Oh, this one also uses Cloudflare. I'm using Cloudflare. That's something I haven't had a lot of experience with over the years. So and everyone uses it, and I'm like, I need to start using it, And so this is pretty much the first website where I started using Cloudflare. So just for fun, let's do a page speed test on it. Don't embarrass me, page speed. You know how their results like to vary sometimes. Here's how page speed works. You run a test, you get great scores, you share it to Twitter, somebody else sees that post, they go run a test of the same URL, you've changed nothing, you get bad scores, and they come back and say, actually, this is what you're getting. I don't know. That's just the life of page speed. Looks like we're doing pretty good today. 1.5, that's not terrible. That could be a little better, I suppose. What's impressive about this website, though, is that it has 4 videos playing, like on the homepage. And it still manages to get pretty decent scores here. We got a CSS file that's blocking some rendering, I guess. Image elements don't have an oh. This is the kind of thing that's very easy to fix too. You just go, you grab a screenshot of this. I talked to my AI bot in Discord. and I'll just share the screenshot. Tell it to fix it, and it'll fix it. That's a simple one. I think it's to avoid, I think it avoids content layout shifts. When you give an image a fixed width and height, then I think it kind of reserves that space on the page. Even if the image hasn't fully loaded yet, it will still reserve that space. So so the page doesn't like shift when the image finally loads. I think that's the point. Oh yeah, it actually literally tells me right there to reduce layout shifts. Yeah, cool. So he's gonna go fix that. But anyways, it's already getting pretty darn good scores in my opinion. So, and I'm not saying you can't achieve this with WordPress. I know that some of y'all are wondering how does this website perform. So I figured I would show you. LearnKit was not getting very good scores, and that is a problem with Lovable. I don't have as much control when it's being hosted by Lovable. I've tried to have Lovable fix some of the issues, and it's like it basically told me like there's nothing we can do about that, and I'm just like, well, that's lame. So I guess I'm not going to host with you. So that's why I'm considering moving LearnKit off of Lovable. You can see already 80, that's not good. 3.5 seconds, 4.9 speed index. Yeah, that's not good. You know, the rest is okay. You know, it's doing well with accessibility, SEO, and all that, but the performance isn't great. So Lovable is a cool tool. You can build cool stuff with it, but you probably want to look at, once you've finished building it, maybe pull it off Lovable and put it somewhere else. All right, next thing. This is a little different. This is a tool that I made for myself. So if you're not familiar with DDev, DDev is a program that lets you spin up like local development environments. So it's kind of like if you've used Local by Flywheel, except Local by Flywheel is specifically for WordPress. DDev is basically you can do whatever you want. Like it just kind of creates a little development environment, and you can choose all sorts of different, I don't know what they call it. Lando calls it recipes. I don't know what DDev calls it, but you know, you can specifically type in a command and it will spin up a WordPress website. So this is what I use now. I've been using Lando for the past couple years for local WordPress development. Now I use DDev for local WordPress development. And like Lando, DDev does not have a GUI, a graphical user interface. And so I just made one. So instead of, you know, normally you pull up the terminal and you have to type a bunch of stuff to spin up a new website. With this, first of all, you can see I have already created 3 websites with DDev. None of them are running right now. I can start a website, stop it, restart it. Once they're started, there's links to go view the website, to take me to the admin, and also to take me to the database using phpMyAdmin. And I can create a brand new website with this GUI. I will go ahead and not install phpMyAdmin because that makes it take longer. And then if you are the kind of guy that misses the terminal, you can sit here and stare at this if you'd like, or you can close it and it'll keep working, and eventually the site will show up here on this list. So I built this. I built one for Lando as well, and then when I stopped using Lando and started using DDev, I built one for DDev as well. You can actually get this for yourself if you use DDev. You can do npm install -g for global DDev-GUI. It is in the npm. There it is. My website's live. It is in the npm repo, I guess you'd call it. I have the Lando GUI in there, and I have the DDev GUI in there. So if you wanted to try it out, you can grab it yourself, and then you just run DDev-GUI to fire it up, and it opens it up in some localhost domain. So I built that with OpenClaw again. Pretty much everything with the exception of LearnKit's website, which I built in Lovable, just about everything else I've done in OpenClaw, and you kind of saw how it works a little bit here. There is they have like a terminal chat thingy that you can use, a dashboard they call it. Um, but you can also connect your OpenClaw bot to various apps like WhatsApp and other things. I connected mine to Discord, so this is how I communicate with my AI bot, is with Discord. So I can be anywhere. I can be sitting at the dentist office waiting for my kid to come out. I'm sitting in the lobby on my phone talking to the bot on Discord, building an app, and which I've done a lot. Um, let's see, what did it say? Yep, so it gave the SVG some dimensions, and it should be good now. And it fixed it and went ahead and deployed it for me. So hopefully it didn't break anything, because we're just doing stuff live. Like I said, I haven't set up a staging environment yet. We're just pushing stuff live, man. What could go wrong? But this is how I communicate with it. And if you're wondering, a lot of people talk about AI and they complain about how they can't get any work done because it keeps forgetting what they're doing and how to do stuff, which is a legitimate complaint. It is not a human being. After all, it is a program. And so if you stop talking to it for a while and then you come back, it will not know what you're talking about. If you just jump right back in the conversation like you never left, it'll be like, yeah, sure, I'd love to do that. Just let me know what you're talking about and what we're doing it to. And you'll be like, what do you mean? It's the same thing we've been talking about, you know. So that can be a little bit frustrating. So you do have to remind it. So like you probably saw me when I came in and I said, hey, let's talk about Cedar Rapids web design. That was me letting it know, here's the thing I want to talk about. Refresh your memory, because what I've done is every project that I've been working on with OpenClaw, I've told it to create a skill for itself for each project so that it will remember stuff. So anytime, you know, it figures something out, like if there's a bug and then it figures out what the bug is and it fixes it, I'll say, hey, update your skill so that you don't make that same mistake again later. You don't create the same bug. And it'll update the skill, and then it won't create that bug anymore. Anytime you give it like a API key or something, it needs to save that stuff. You know, when you set up a new project, tell it to create a skill, and it will just save all the relevant information. It'll be like, okay, so it's being hosted on Hetzner. Here's how I access the Hetzner account, blah, 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 blah. So that, you know, whenever you work on that project again, it reviews the skill and it knows what it's doing. It doesn't have to try to relearn how to do all that stuff. So you have to keep up with skills. Skills are not just something that you download from somewhere else, like a Node.js skill that teaches it how to properly build Node.js, you know, apps. You definitely do want to download skills like that, but you also want to be having your AI bot create its own skills for whatever projects you're doing so that it can always keep up. Otherwise it will forget. You'll ask it to do something and you'll have a little bit of a back and forth as it's trying different ways to do it, and then it finally figures out how to do it. And you think, great, it figured it out. 2 days later, you ask it to do it again, it will go through the same process. It will try the method that doesn't work, and it will go through the whole process of trying to figure it out again, unless you create a skill for it. You create a skill for it, now it knows how to do that thing, and it doesn't have to figure it out again in the future. So keep up with skills. Always tell it to create a skill for itself. Remind it to update the skill whenever you do something new on that project that you feel like it's going to need to remember how to do it later. Just tell it, hey, go ahead and update your skill for this project. Okay, I think it's time to talk about the last item, which is something that I've been sort of teasing a couple times on Twitter. I've been working on it. I haven't revealed it. I've revealed it to a few select people, like privately, but I haven't shared this project publicly yet. And that's what I'm going to do today. This project is WordPress related. Some of you have probably heard, I'm sure all of you watching have heard somebody talk about, and probably you've said it to somebody, oh yeah, WordPress powers almost half of the internet. 46% of all websites in the world are on WordPress. We've all heard that. I think WordPress even probably says it on their website somewhere, if I remember correctly. But it's just a very, hey Brandon, what's up? It's a very, you're just in time, man. We just got through all the boring stuff and we're about to talk about something interesting. It's just a very popular, I don't know, idea. We'll call it a fact, a little piece of data that's going around. That I don't believe for 1 second. I don't believe for 1 second that almost half of all the websites in the world are on WordPress. I just don't. For a couple reasons. One, I mean, that's just crazy. You know, it would be quite a accomplishment. That I just think it'd be very, 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 very difficult for anyone to accomplish. 50%, almost 50% market share of all the websites in the world. I also just don't see it. I've been building websites for, I don't want to tell you how long I've been building websites for. That's how long it's been. I'm embarrassed to reveal the number of years. And very few people are using WordPress. They're only using WordPress because of me. They come to me, they need a website, and I'm like, all right, let's get you off this garbage Wix nonsense and put you on WordPress. And I don't know, man, I see other agencies around here where I live, and some of them are using WordPress, some of them are using Shopify. Some of them will use WordPress for non-e-commerce websites, and they'll use Shopify for e-commerce websites. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I've never one time seen a single YouTuber advertising WordPress. I do see tons of YouTubers being sponsored by Squarespace. It seems like every YouTuber is using Squarespace for their website. I watch a lot of woodworking videos, and all the woodworkers are using Squarespace to sell things that they build. They're selling plans and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I just don't see it, man. I talk to people, and a lot of people are just creating their own websites with Wix or GoDaddy. And I just don't believe it. I don't believe that 40-some% of all websites are on WordPress, but I have no data to back that up other than just my gut feeling based on my experience in the industry. So I thought, is there a way to actually get some real data and find out if this claim is even remotely true? I looked into, this claim of 40-some% usually comes from data from something called W3 Tech. I have a report on it in here somewhere. Yeah, W3 Tech's. They report that right now 43% of all websites on the internet on WordPress. Here's the major accuracy problems according to Claude Sonnet 4.6. Let's see. So the top 1,000 sites, only 8% of them are using any CMS. I'll give you that most people using a CMS are probably using WordPress, but of the top 1,000 sites, top 10,000 sites, 17, 100,000, 21. The top 1 million websites, only 28% are even using a CMS. And then some percentage of those are going to be WordPress, right? So already I'm looking at this and I'm thinking it's not likely that 43% of all websites are using WordPress. And this just goes on to talk about basically reasons to be at least a little bit skeptical of this 43% number. It says the W3 Text uses 1.2 billion websites. A large fraction of those are park domains, spam, abandoned pages. And that's something that a lot of people talk about. If you spin up a WordPress website because you're playing around with it, on a free WordPress account or whatever, and then you never touch it again because you just, whatever, you were just playing around. Does that count? Should that count? I don't know. I don't think so. But how do you determine which websites should count and which ones don't? Kevin Geary likes to talk about websites of consequence, which to me is a much more important figure. What percentage of websites of consequence are using WordPress versus just random throwaway websites nobody cares about? Because if a whole bunch of people are starting up a blog, they're blogging twice and they're abandoning the website altogether. If a lot of people are doing that, that's not a selling point. That's not like, ooh, look at all these people creating a blog, blogging for 2 weeks and then abandoning it. Isn't that cool? Come use WordPress. Look how great it is. That's not a selling point. The selling point is, hey, look at these websites that are actually doing stuff, that are being used, that are getting a lot of traffic, that are converting, that are driving sales or driving conversions. If you get a lot of websites like that using your platform, that is a good selling point. So that's kind of hard to determine. Yeah, I don't know, Rob. That would be pretty shady if they were doing that, but I wouldn't put it past them. Rob's asking if they, are they counting Tumblr websites in that now that WordPress owns Tumblr? That would skew the numbers quite a bit. So anyways, all that to say, I don't believe it. I think it's hogwash, and I'm trying to get some actual real data. And I think the best way to get this kind of data is literally to just go find as many businesses as you can across the country, across different categories, right? And just see who's using WordPress and who isn't. And just the more of that kind of data you can collect, the more accurate your number will be, as opposed to whatever W3Text is doing. One of the things that it mentions in here, the problem is that they don't really tell you how they're doing it. They don't really tell you like which websites they're looking at or how they're finding the websites, what their criteria are. And so here's what I did. I built a tool. With AI. Built with Rob. Built with is another tool that people use to try to cite these sort of numbers. I built a tool, and I built a website that is around here somewhere. Here it is. The website is called the 40% Myth. It's called 40percentmyth.com. Sorry. And as you can see so far, I have scanned 5,007 businesses. Of those businesses, 27% are using WordPress. This is broken. The AI bot needs to fix that number. I forgot to get that fixed. But 27% of all these 5,007 websites that have been scanned are using WordPress. And you can see many of them are using Webflow, GoDaddy, Shopify, whatever. So you can use this website to filter. So if you want to go and look at Chicago specifically, I've scanned 600 businesses in Chicago, and maybe you're curious about churches. 43%. I've noticed churches like to use WordPress quite a bit. If we go back to all cities, churches, 31% of 788 churches are using WordPress. That's pretty good. E-commerce, no one's using WordPress for e-commerce. 688 businesses in that category, 14% of them are on WordPress. Retail, also very low. 933 businesses are in the category of retail. 12% of them are using WordPress. I don't have any in government yet. And I do have some in other, I guess. Some things just, I don't know what category to put them in, so I put them in other. Let's see, restaurants, fairly high, 30% of 900, almost 900 restaurants are using WordPress. So this is the project that I'm working on. At first, it was 100% AI driven, meaning I would tell my AI bot, go scan Chicago, find me 100 businesses in the retail category. And it would do that. And then I would say, okay, take that data and, add it to the website. Very manual process, and probably burning through lots of tokens, contributing to that Copilot bill that I'm waiting for to show up one of these days. So I was like, you know what? I should have AI build tools that do this so that the AI doesn't have to keep doing it. So, so visual. So that's what I did. So I had it build 2 tools. This is a business fetcher tool that uses something called Outscraper, which does still cost a little bit of money. That it's an API, but it was pretty cheap. It was like $20 or something, would get me like 10,000 businesses, something like that. I don't know. I figured whatever that is probably cheaper than burning through all these tokens all the time. So I put in a city. I choose which categories I want. I click fetch businesses, and it comes up with a list. Why not? Let's go look at Tulsa. That's the example here. And I'm going to cut this down so it doesn't take forever. Let's just find 10 restaurants in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And what this tool does is it creates a CSV with the list of businesses that it finds. Hopefully it works for me. That'd be embarrassing. It is a live stream, so expect things to break. While that's working, here's the other tool. What this tool does is I take the CSV and I drop it in here, and it goes and scans each website, and it determines what that website was built with. Here we go. All right, we got 10 restaurants. Download the CSV. Let's come over here, drop it in, and start scanning. Bento box. That's a pretty popular one with restaurants. Squarespace is another fairly popular one. Looks like 2 of these 10 restaurants are using WordPress. What do we got? What do we got? Platform. Here you go. Squarespace, Bento, Squarespace. Yeah. And then I can click import to database. It will check for duplicates. And then it will let me decide what I want to do with duplicates, if I want to replace the existing or skip it. And this is now adding it to my website. So if we come here, we should see this number jump up by 10. Oh, you know what? I think our new build process requires, because I wanted this to be static so it loads faster. So now there's another step, I believe, in the process that I need to tell AI to push these changes. Let's talk about the 40% myth. The great thing about using AI is you don't have to remember everything. You can just ask AI, hey, how does this work again? This thing that we built. Okay, yep. So it just did the rebuild 5017. Any second now, we should see the new results. Come on, man. Live streams, gotta love it. Gotta love it. It knew the right number, 5017. That was correct. Mm. So it found a little bug in its workflow. So once it's done fixing that, I'm going to tell it to update its skill because I just rebuilt this yesterday. I shouldn't have done that right before live stream. I should have left it alone. Here's the weird problem. So look, I use page speed and I recommend you use page speed, but you also have to understand page speed is not the full story. So what was happening is I would go load the website and all these numbers would be blank at first. This whole list would be blank and it would say computing ... And it would take 2, maybe 3 seconds to load. And then all of a sudden, boom, all this data would show up. But when I ran a page speed test, I was literally getting 100 performance score, even though I had to sit here and literally watch it load for 2 seconds before any data actually showed up. Page speed was telling me it was 100 score. So then I went to the AI bot and I was like, hey, I don't like how it loads for 2 seconds. You know, can we, and I think I told it to try to set up some sort of like static build process or whatever. And so what it did was it took all the data from the database and just created one big fat HTML file with all the data, and it loaded instantly. I was like, oh, that's so awesome. I would come to the website, I would hit refresh, boom, data right away. Great. And then I go to page speed and it was getting like 85 now, down from 100. And I was like, so when it's loading instantly, I'm getting a terrible page speed score. And when I have to sit there and wait for 2 seconds for it to load, I'm getting 100 on page speed. So that was annoying. So I'm working with the AI bot yesterday going, hey, we got to find, there's got to be a way to make this page load fast and get a good score on page speed so I can brag to people on Twitter. And this is what it came up with, and it was working. Okay, it thinks it's a cache issue. I'm not sure I believe it, although cache is the bane of my existence. You know, maybe the issue is where's Tulsa? There's Tulsa restaurant. Yeah. Okay. So the restaurants, the data's there. It's just this number isn't being dynamically updated. So here's how we fix this. First of all, do I have WhisperFlow running? I like to talk to my bot instead of typing all the time. Let's give him the screenshot. Okay, so I just checked and the new restaurants that we added are showing up on the website. The problem is just the number isn't updating. So I think maybe that number 5007 is being hard-coded and it's not actually being dynamically generated. Also, I noticed the number next to it is wrong. The percentage of businesses that have a website seems to be just displaying the same percentage as the ones using WordPress, which obviously is not correct. That number should be closer to 90-something% of the businesses have a website. Let's make it fix two things at once. So yeah, the tool worked. It successfully put the data in the database, but that number is just not being updated correctly. So, but anywho, that is this project. We're up to 5,000 businesses. I'm going to keep adding businesses. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to make sure that it's businesses all over the country and in, you know, several different categories, because as you can see, there's wildly different data in different categories, right? Restaurants, decent chunk of restaurants are using WordPress. A lot of churches are using WordPress. I think real estate was fairly high WordPress as well. Yep. But like retail, no one's using WordPress for retail. No one's using WordPress for e-commerce. As you can see right here, Shopify is by far the most popular e-commerce platform, which is surprising nobody. But this number has not changed a whole lot as I've been adding more and more businesses. I think I'm to the point where I have a decent enough pool of data. I think 5,000 is kind of a lot to where I'm fairly confident in this number. 26, 27%. But I'm going to keep adding more, and maybe the number will change a little bit as I add more. I'm going to keep trying to keep it even, try to have the same, roughly the same number of businesses from each category to try to keep it fair. But this data also maybe is useful. Just so you know, you can actually download this data yourself. There's an API. You can download a skill, give this skill to your AI bot, and it can come here and download this data. Honestly, maybe you just want to use it as a sales tool, because a lot of these websites, a lot of these businesses don't have a website. Honestly, if you want to come download this data and just try to reach out to any businesses that don't have a website where you live, maybe you live in Charleston, South Carolina. And here's one. Corner on the market. Go reach out to a corner on the market and say, hey, why don't you have a website, man? Let me get you set up on WordPress. Pump those numbers up. Or maybe you're just curious about some of this data like I am. And the stack, if you're curious about this, how this was built, the data is being stored in a database, but then there's the build process that displays static files. WP Tonic is asking if I'm saying that WordPress doesn't have much future over the next couple of years. Yeah, couple years. I wouldn't say couple years. I think it's going to take some time. I mean, first of all, what I'm saying with this is that I just don't think WordPress is as popular as WordPress would like you to believe, and as some of the WordPress cult members would like you to believe. It is obviously very popular. It is the most used platform for building a website, and certainly it's the most used content management system. Definitely not trying to argue that. I'm just saying 43% seems high, and I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I think the real percentage is much lower than that. And to your question, I do believe that that whatever that percentage is going to get smaller over the coming years. I know a lot of people are trying to build AI tools specifically for WordPress. I don't really see the point. I kind of feel like you either want to, I shouldn't say I don't see the point. If you really want to use a big, bloated, complex CMS for your website, then you should be using WordPress. And if somebody is making a tool that makes it easier to use WordPress by utilizing AI, then knock yourself out. But I think a lot of people are going to be making a different decision. I think they're going to be making the decision, do I use WordPress or do I use AI? And, a lot of people are talking about like Astro, because Astro works pretty well. AI is pretty good at building stuff with Astro. So AI has made Astro, I think, more popular. I think it was already kind of growing in popularity, but I think AI has definitely helped boost that. And I think a lot of people are just going to, I'm already seeing people sharing posts on LinkedIn and Twitter saying, hey, I just moved my WordPress website to markdown files, or I just moved my WordPress website to Astro, or whatever. And a lot of those people are doing it for themselves. So that's one point that's important to talk about, is I don't think a lot of people are moving their clients to that kind of solution yet. But a lot of people, I think, are doing it for themselves because they know what they're doing and they're comfortable, working in Markdown, or they're comfortable pushing things to GitHub. So it makes sense for them to use something like that. Whereas in the past, I feel like a lot of us just used WordPress for literally everything, just because it's what we knew, it's what we were comfortable with. And I think we kind of knew in the back of our minds that it wasn't necessary for a lot of the websites that we were building, but we just did it anyways. And I feel like AI has kind of given a lot of us like permission, so to speak. Like it's told us it's okay to build a website with something other than WordPress if you don't feel like you need WordPress. Whereas before we just didn't feel like that. We just felt like everything had to be WordPress. So I do think that, I think if you if a significant amount of your income comes from a WordPress related business, whether it's building websites for clients or maybe you have a plugin business, um, I am, I'll just say it, I am concerned for you. And I am concerned about what your business is going to look like 5 years from now, especially if you don't try to adapt or pivot at all. You just try to ignore the problem and hope it goes away. It's not going to go away. AI is not going away. It's getting better. All the complaints people have about AI, they're valid now, but will they be valid 5 years from now? Probably not. So just something to think about. And I don't even know. I don't have any advice. I just think about it. Y'all are smart business people. You've got to where you are by being smart business people. So just continue being smart business people, and don't ignore AI. And when you figure out the solution of how to stay relevant, make sure you share it with the rest of us. Visual asked, is fetching the data only USA regional, or it can fetch also? Yeah, it should be able to fetch from anywhere. I've only tried fetching from the United States so far. I don't know if it's set up, because right now it's set up to look in city and state. So like, I don't know what would happen if I tried to say Toronto, what state? Toronto's a territory, right? Or a province. Like, I don't even know. Let's see. Let's find a city in Toronto. Is Toronto also a city? Is there a city called Toronto in Toronto? Yes, there is. North York. Let's try it. Let's try York, Toronto, and just, well, so see, I don't know. There isn't a 2-letter abbreviation for Toronto. So that's something that I'll have to actually build into the scanner, I think. Visual. If I want to start scanning outside the US, I'm just gonna have to build that in. Probably have a country picker so they can choose, what country they want to search. And then the form will be a little bit different. It won't be city state if they choose Canada. It'll be like city province probably. And I don't know if Canada does 2-letter abbreviations for their provinces like we do with our states. I don't know. These are things that I have to figure out. So I guess to answer your question right now, this tool, but I could still just go, I could ask Carl, that's my AI bot's name. I could say, hey, go find me 100 restaurants in Toronto. And I could go back to doing that, sort of the manual way. But I would have to update my tool if I wanted to start scanning outside the United States. Academia, that's not a bad idea, Rob. There's probably a lot of colleges and even high schools. I remember when I was in high school, they would let us build some of their pages as part of our, like, the web design, web development class that you could take if you wanted. That was kind of fun. Like the whole website, they didn't let the kids build the entire website. They're not stupid, but they would like the art department. They'd be like, all right, somebody who wants to build the art department's website. And then they would let that be live for like a couple weeks. And then if it was terrible, they'd go back. But that was kind of fun. Yeah, I'll add, let's just do that right now. The out scraper tool. You want me to try Eindhoven NB? All right, let's try it. Let's see what happens. What? You don't have a, I don't have a skill for the outscraper tool? Am I saying it right? Hmm. Maybe let's make sure I'm using the right name for it. Yeah, out scraper tool. Surely I have a skill for this tool. I might not. I'm kind of dumb. Still searching. Okay. What was I going to do? Oh, I want to add another category of business called academia that would include colleges, universities, and grade schools. Zero fetched. Yep. Sorry, visual, it's not working yet. I'll have to build that in. I'll have to look into the best way to do that because, yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe by continent. Maybe I could be like search Europe. I don't know. The AI bot will know. I'll talk to the AI bot about it and we'll come up with a plan. All right, it claims that it's added a category. So I just need to shut it down and restart it. And we should have a new category in here. He lied to me. He is a dirty, dirty liar. Dirty liar. Let me refresh one more time. Yep, it's not showing up, homie. What you got for me? Derp. The categories are hard-coded. Of course they are. Okay. You said you don't have a skill for this app. If that's true, create one. There it is. All right, let's find some academias. I'm gonna search where I live. Find some schools. Oh, my neck hurts. All community colleges in Virginia are on WordPress. Nice. Like all of how many do you have? There's got to be a lot. All right, let's download this CSV and go see what they're using. Shopify. You got to spot check some of these results. Interesting. Why are they using Shopify? That's so funny. What else we got? WordPress. All right, Upper Iowa. Yep, that is a WordPress website, folks. I imagine my guess would have been that a lot of colleges were on some sort of custom solution that they paid $1 billion for someone to build. Like Kirkwood. Oh, their website. I feel like you need a PhD in web development just to use their website. It's such a pain in the ass. What else do we got in here? Are these all colleges? College. Yeah, they didn't find any high schools. But Yeah, thanks for that suggestion. Who was that? Was that you, Rob? Yeah, thanks for that. Now here's the thing, would like a high school be considered government as well, since it's run by the city government? It's okay for a business to have more than one category. I told the tool that. So some of these, it could be retail and e-commerce, Um, but yeah, let's go ahead and add these 10 little websites. Might as well. Private university in Winchester, Virginia. I can't guarantee that it'll find that one, but I can have it search and see what it comes up with. Yeah, so I think that's all the tools that I've been working on that I care to talk about. I don't know if anybody has any questions about any of those tools. I can try to answer them. I can also ask the AI bot if I don't know the answer to a question. Oh, I want to do page speed on 40% MIT. Last time I checked this, I got 100 on all four. Hey, it fixed it. It fixed that and it fixed that. Good job, Carl. Killing it. You're killing it, Carl. Yay, 100 on everything. Look at that. 1 second, 1 second, 1.8. Little bit of layout shift. Not bad, man. Not bad. And it actually is fast. It's not just saying 100. It actually is loading quickly. Let's see what the tool found. What were we looking for? A private university. Shenandoah University. Hi, hey, is that... We got a couple Shenandoahs here. su.edu. Let's go see. Look at that. Shenandoah University is using WordPress. You might be right, brother. Look at all these WordPress websites. 7 out of 10. Let's see. It says that someone doesn't have a website. Winchester didn't even have a website. Shenandoah Valley Training Center. Just so you know, the folks watching, if they don't have a website, they're not being counted in the percentage. So this percentage right here, 27%, I'm still adding them to the list so you can see businesses that don't have a website, but I'm not counting them towards the percentage. I'm only counting them if they actually have a website of some sort. Just so you guys know, because that would skew the results too. If I added a whole bunch of, businesses that don't even have a website, that would lower this percentage quite a bit, I think, because 7% of these businesses don't have a website. So maybe it wouldn't lower it a ton, but it would lower it a little bit, and I didn't think that was fair, so I excluded those from the math. Yeah, man. All right. Somebody in Virginia. There's an agency or a freelancer in Virginia that has got a lockdown on these universities, man, and they're putting them all on WordPress. That's impressive. Let's add these. Impressive. All right, he created a skill for me. Cool. Back to 40% myth. I added some more websites to the previous. Please use the build process to update the website. So what I need to do next after this stream is this build process that we're doing. I need to add that to the tool so that I can do it myself and I don't have to ask the AI bot to do it. I should make it automatic, so when I click import, it imports the businesses into the database, and then runs the build process to update the website. Oh, it's already done. Good job. Up to 5,037. Really? All in-house, huh? You know, several people that work at different places and they're all W2 employees. Interesting. Well, that'll be interesting for me to, as I start adding more. I'm going to focus on academia now. And it'll be interesting to see what that percentage ends up being. It makes sense. I mean, universities are very large websites with lots of content. And if I was going to build a website for a university, even all this talk I've been talking about AI, I would use WordPress for sure. For sure. Got to take a shot every time you say automatic. Yeah. That's what the A in AI stands for, right? All right, well, I don't know, guys. Does anybody have any other random questions about any of these projects or just AI in general? I love how it when it patches so it's self-healing. Okay, that placeholder issue keeps recurring because the generate script inlines of fresh doesn't add placeholder comment for next time. I should fix the generate script itself. Yes. Fix that. Fix it, bruh. Cool, cool, cool. How feasible is it to build a converter tool for Elementor to Etch? Probably not very feasible. I can't even begin to. I don't know. I think it would be easier to just scan the front end HTML and convert that into Etch. But I don't know if that would be worth it. That would be that to me. That feels like it'd be a huge pain. I've tried to use AI to create, to just create an Elementor, like whatever they call them, module widget, and I was unsuccessful. I don't know how much. The problem is, you know, how familiar is AI with Elementor, right? Because Elementor, they do have a free version, so it's possible that AI at this point is pretty familiar with how Elementor architecture works. It's not going to be familiar at all with how Etch works. You're going to have to try to train it on that. Yeah. Plus, I don't know. That's I believe that would be a very large undertaking, and I believe that most people who tried to take it on would give up. I think it would require, it would be more than what I could do. It would need to be somebody who also is already just an actual talented developer. And I don't think it's something that could be vibe coded, although, you know, I feel like every time somebody says that, somebody goes and vibe codes it. Yeah. I mean, if you made some progress with Grok, maybe there's hope. Because if you use a real AI agent like Claude or Codex or something, I don't know, maybe you could make it work. Because you would have to, so you'd have to spin up a website, you would install Elementor on it, you would install Etch, because then Carl, my bot, could actually go look at it. And I could say, hey, go look at this website, go look at the plugin called Elementor and familiarize yourself with it, whatever. Go look at the plugin Etch, familiarize yourself with it, and then start asking questions like, what would it take to convert an Elementor text module into a Etch I guess it'd just be a paragraph block, whatever. And it could maybe start figuring stuff out. You'd have to go through block by block. You'd have to be very good about making sure to keep your bot updated on its own skill. You'd be creating a skill for this. You'd probably create an Elementor skill and an Etch skill to save relevant things that it learns. Whenever it learns something important about Elementor architecture that you need, make sure to update the skill. Same goes with Etch. And maybe you could pull it off. I'm not going to try. But and maybe with Opus too, because like I said, I'm only using Sonnet, and Opus is supposed to be quite a bit better. So maybe, maybe Opus 4.6 could pull it off. It will be pretty neat. I mean, building websites in Etch is fun, but if you could click a button and convert an Elementor website into an Etch website, that would be pretty neat. I just don't know who's going to do that, Are people who are using Elementor, what are the odds that you're going to convert that person into an Etch user? Because they're two different types of people. They're likely using Elementor because they don't want to code. And I understand that there are exceptions, because I am one of them. I never used Elementor, but I was using Themify, which is just another page builder. It's an Elementor, competitor. So I am one of those people who moved from a page builder to Etch, but I feel like most people using Elementor, I think they're using it for specific reasons, and they don't want to learn CSS and they don't want to learn how to build websites properly. Rob thinks it would be a money printing machine. Well, I could use one or two of those. Okay. Whatever issue Carl found, he seems pretty confident that he fixed it, so good job, Carl. Yeah, cache machine doesn't have to be Etch, could be Gutenberg. So converting from Elementor to Gutenberg. Yeah, I don't know if that would be easier, more difficult, or just the same as converting to Etch. I wonder if Etch is ever going to get to the point where, like, how you do something in Etch and it becomes a Gutenberg block? When you add a Gutenberg block, like in Gutenberg, and then you go edit the page in Etch, it just shows like the pass-through block. I wonder if it's ever going to get to a point where you add a block in Gutenberg and then you edit it in Etch, and it now is like, it turns it into, I don't know what you call it, an Etch element, which is basically just a regular element. That would be kind of nice, honestly, if you could do that. It wouldn't always work, somebody makes some weird random Gutenberg block. It might not easily translate to a regular element, but at least the core blocks, Like if I go added just a regular text paragraph Gutenberg block, I feel like there's no reason why that shouldn't just show up as a regular paragraph in Etch. Because if I create a paragraph in Etch, it turns into a Gutenberg block. So why can't we go the other way? If you could do that, that would open up some possibilities, because anytime you could convert something into Gutenberg, you also then are basically also creating, converting it into Etch. Yeah, if you have to support it, you'd rather do that in Etch. Yeah, to your point, there's probably enough Elementor users out there that even if I'm right that a small percentage of them would ever convert to Etch, a small percentage of a large number can still be a large number. So it might be worth pursuing. I don't think I'm going to, but I'm kind of I don't know if I want to, if I'm ready to say this out loud yet, but I'm sort of just losing interest in WordPress. Um, I mean, I haven't completely, like if a client called me right now and said I need a new website, I would build it in WordPress and I would build it with Etch. But I'm just getting, I feel like I'm getting to that point where it's like, you know, I'm just going to be getting less and less interested in WordPress. Um, I'm probably done building my own websites in WordPress at this point. I don't know if I'm ready to start putting clients on AI generated websites yet. Um, you know, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if WordPress does anything to, maintain my interest. I just don't. They just haven't done anything for a long time that's made any sense, and I don't know if they're focusing on the right stuff right now. They seem to be focusing pretty hard on adding like an AI agent within your WordPress website. I don't know if that's enough, Is that going to be enough to keep people in WordPress when they can just fire up Lovable, give it a prompt, and then have a website? I don't know. I don't know. That's a good point, Rob. I don't know if you, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I don't know how the licensing works. It gets very confusing. I've heard people talk about how because of how the licensing works, that even premium plugins, like there's no legal ramifications for just straight up stealing a premium plugin, which doesn't make any sense to me. I can understand free plugins being protected under some whatever open source licensing, you know, but I feel like the second I make a plugin like private and premium, then you shouldn't be able to just do whatever you want with it. But yeah, I don't know if you might. Elementor, obviously Elementor is not going to appreciate you trying to convert their users over to Etch, but also that's business, right? That's what we're all trying to do. Every business owner is trying to convert their competitors' customers to become their own customers. So at what point, you know, you're not really using their code. You're not like duplicating Elementor and trying to sell some Elementor clone. So, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't know if you would really run into a lot of legal problems there, but obviously you definitely would want to look into it to make sure. Yeah. That would be I'll be honest though, I would love to see that exist. It'd be really cool to see somebody click a couple buttons and turn their Elementor website into an Etch website. I wonder if it'd be easier to just scrape the front end of the website and turn that into an Etch website. Remove all the garbage code and IDs and extra divs. I don't know how I don't know uh, how good website scrapers are. For instance, because if there's a tool like Brave Search or whatever that can scrape a website and it can get the HTML and it can grab the CSS and the JavaScript, if you could grab those three things, you could theoretically convert any website into anything. Because at that point, you don't care about the 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 dynamic data becomes a problem because you basically just be recreating a static version of that website, so that would be a problem. But I don't know, maybe it'd be worth converting into a static website and then you can go inside and make it dynamic. E, who is E? E is trying to hijack so many customers by hijacking the WordPress dashboard. AI image op, SMTP. Yeah. Who's E? I feel like I should know this. Yeah, thanks for joining, Rob. I should probably get lunch too. Oh, Elementor. Yeah, yeah. They're hijacking the WordPress dashboard? Ugh. Did you guys see? I guess with the new Elementor, they have this whole new class system, which sounds, fun. But I guess there's a limit right now, 100 class limit. Um, I didn't know about that until I just saw, I think Kevin Geary posted about it on Facebook and Twitter. Somebody ran into 100 class limit on the new Elementor. So that's kind of fun. Makes me wonder, like, when at first my first thought was, wow, that's a lot of classes. Who would get to that many classes? But then I started to think about it and I was like, you know what? I bet you would hit 100 classes pretty quick building any decent medium-sized website. It probably wouldn't be that hard to hit 100 classes. And it makes you wonder why. Why the limit? Like, what problem is Elementor trying to alleviate by not letting their customers have more than 100 classes on a website? What problem would crop up if a user had more than 100 classes? It's weird. Weird, weird, weird. All right. I think I'm going to call it, guys. Rob's got to go eat. I got to go eat. And I think I've just run out of stuff to talk about anyways. So thanks to everyone who joined. Thanks for the conversation. I don't know. I'll try to start posting more videos. I know it's been a while. I just don't know what to talk about anymore. And I think people got tired of watching me build websites in Etch. So I got to find something else that y'all find interesting. So that's it. Have a good Monday, and I'll catch you guys later.